Konnichiwa, viewer-san. I am Dokumi Sato, ancient samurai warrior of feudal Japan. I practice day and night for 30 years to be perfect warrior. And 5% of the time, I throw my sword away or trip over shoelaces. I wear sandals. My problem is a simple one. Fumbles make no sense. If I'm a trained warrior, a specialist, whose living it is to go out and combat dangerous creatures, and I spend 5% of my time ending up prone, having my sword fly off, falling over, tripping over shoelaces, and all those other things GMs decree when a fumble happens, I would be rubbish at my job. I mean, absolutely diabolically atrocious. The problem is, a fumble, the dreaded one, happens 5% of the time. That's actually quite a lot. You know, the longer a fight goes on for, and the more participants involved, the more likely you are to get a fumble. If you imagine 20 warriors from each side meeting in the middle of battle, it's not the other side you have to worry about, it's not even the archers as the two lines meet. It's all the flying swords that have slipped out of people's hands. They'd be all over the place. It'd be like being in a food blender. Now, the most immediate solution that I can think of for solving the problem of the food blending swords in a 20v20 battle is to give everyone foam-padded LARPing weapons, or latex LARPing weapons. I must oil my rubberware. But that's a bit kinky. So, how do we keep samurai from being a complete imbecile? Well, ditch fumbles. Simple as that. Just don't do them. Oh, but they're fun, I hear you say. They add to the story. Well, I have two answers to that. Firstly, I don't need a fucking dice to tell me how to tell a story. Okay, I can do that anyway. I'm a GM. Neither should you. You don't need a dice to mess the players up with a bit of bad luck. Alright, you can do that any time you want. Numenera has an interesting mechanic. At any point, the Dungeon Master can do what's called a GM intrusion, or it's a Games Master in Numenera, and he awards a player XP, and then messes them up, you drop your sword or whatever. The problem Numenera has twofold with that system. Firstly, is you get another XP point that you have to give to someone else, which introduces politics into the game, not a good idea. And the other problem with Numenera is it also has fumbles. So in Numenera, you have, as a player character, the most incompetent adventurer you have ever seen. Still, I quite like the background. Don't do fumbles. I have a rule on my table playing D&D 5th at the moment where I'm the GM, where I've said it's my discretion to do something when you roll a 1, if I choose to do so. So far, I have not chosen to do so at all. To be honest, I don't think I ever will. I might do it in a big final climactic epic battle if the players are doing too well, but I'd screw them over some way anyway, even if they didn't roll a 1. I'd make that an interesting encounter. Because it's meant to be, it's an epic final cataclysmic battle. I don't need dice to make that fun and challenging and entertaining. So do away with fumbles. Does that mean you should also do away with criticals? No. Players enjoy them, they're absolutely valid, they don't unbalance things at all. Because what a critical does is more damage, right? And attacking's about doing more damage, and that's fine. The problem with a fumble is all the throwing of swords away and falling over, and it's just ridiculous, because 5% is too high a probability. Simple as that. If it was a fraction of it, I used to do reenactment. The only time I ever lost my sword was the first time I was fighting against a skilled person with an axe. They disarmed me. Axes, by the way, are brilliant for disarming people. I don't know why no role-playing game has ever included that. Now, I only ever got disarmed once by an axe. Once I realised what axes could do, I never fell for that again. But what could happen, of course, is axe wielders would lock my weapon. I'll try and show you with a model. What would happen is the axe wielder traps the sword between the axe and the hilt and twists. Now, once you've experienced that a few times, you're not going to drop your sword anymore, but what happens is your sword is locked. You can't get it back to where you want to do to defend yourself against the person with the spear stood next to the axe wielder, and that's what kills you, not the person with the axe, which is a very effective form of combat. But that's the only time I ever dropped my sword in I don't know how long I did reenactment for. It was like every weekend for like 4 years or something crazy. It's ridiculous that I go into a fight and if that fight's like 4 or 5 times long and there's 5 of us, then at least one person's going to drop their weapon at some point, or trip over, or fall off a wall, or do something utterly ridiculous, given that their profession is running around in armour with swords killing people. So that's my Dungeon Master mistake of the day. Start ignoring fumbles.